All right, I'm live now.
All right, great.
That's it. I think so. At least that took me long enough. Oh my
You
god.
know, I always have to do a mic check whenever I start a live stream because I've had I don't know how many streams where like 10 minutes in, I finally look over at the chat and they're like, "Yo, we can't hear you." So,
Really?
um, oh man, all the time, all the time. I'm a lot more diligent now about getting a mic check before I just sort of ramble on for 10 minutes.
Oh, it's those are fantastic. I love when it happens. When I see it happening on stream, I love it. Just having the face cam on, he's just yapping on and on, and looking at the chat, and for 10 minutes straight, mic off. Yo, dude, thank you so much for coming on again for the. Is this the
My
third time?
pleasure. My pleasure.
It's the freaking third time we're doing this because the first time I messed up. The second time I guess I messed up as well a little bit, and now here we are doing it this
Nice.
way.
This should go perfectly then, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure. I hope, fingers crossed, that not everything falls around apart around me again. Oh my god, dude, we had so many good chats about GTA 5 and about Sharkcards and all that stuff. So I really want to tap into it again. And
Okay.
for the people who are listening in right now, if you have any questions towards work, let me know as well. Just type them in the chat. We will not be looking at the chat constantly, of course, because it needs to be a natural podcast.
That's
So,
it.
yeah.
I'm not even going to look at the chat at all, Sonny, because as you know, I'm very easily triggered. So if somebody like calls me fat in the chat or something, I might just wig out. So I'm not even going to look at the chat. I'm not even going to look at it.
All right, I'll just glance every now and then. All right, so dude, opinions on gun running. Again.
Yeah. Again, this feels kind of awkward because I feel like because we have had this talk a few times, so I kind of feel like anyway. Yeah,
It
I'm
has to be
repeating
done,
myself.
dude. I know, but however, like I really, what I'm going for is for that entire that chat you had on Sharkcards and whatnot, and gun running is such a big part of that, and I want the
Yeah.
audience to hear that. I need everyone to hear that.
All right, all right. Well, let's talk about it. Okay, so I want to now, like I said, we've had this talk before, and we know where it's going to lead to. It's going to basically lead to some less than complimentary, sort of discussions about Rockstar and their current sort of development practices and what they've been releasing. So again, just like the last time we talked about it, I want to make sure that I do stress. I am a tremendous fan of Rockstar Games, as I know you are as well.
Yeah.
They produce, I mean, like we talked about, there's no second place to GTA as far as I'm concerned. It is head and shoulders above any other gaming experience that's available today in terms of, the freedom to get out there and develop an online persona and live out your, sort of criminal aspirations in an open world, environment without having to catch a felony. Like, I mean, it's just beautiful. It's amazing what they've been able to create. And I personally have been a fan of Rockstar Games going back almost 20 years now. So, I've always bought every product they put out. I buy it. I buy Sharkcards. I buy stuff from the warehouse. I'm a very loyal customer. I think I'm a very good customer of Rockstar. So, all that said, I love the company. So I've been a tremendous fan, particularly though, of the GTA franchise. And I think I probably fell in love with it in GTA 3, probably like a
Yeah.
lot of people of my generation, right?
Yeah,
Like,
same here. Exactly, same here. Like, I love that game. First time we ever got to witness all of that in 3D was so sick,
right?
dude.
Yeah,
The
like
beginning on the bridge, like I think that's one of my most prominent gaming memories. The moment I was always used to playing top-down GTA, and that moment where you started out on that bridge, I was like, whoa, holy
right.
shit.
Yeah, and at the time, I mean, I think in terms of like even at the time, like combat games, you had, sort of much better mechanics out of a lot of the games that were even out, sort of, at the same time as that game in terms of how you aim, how you shoot, how you fight. Like, it wasn't amazing, in that regard for its time, but what was amazing was it was like the story was so good, the acting was so good, like it had legit like movie stars, participating. It had, and then again, this sort of gritty, like street crime element to it, that was very much in line with, pop culture and, in terms of, popular music, popular movies, very much kind of, again, it was like, life, but you could like steal cars and shoot stuff and kill hookers. Like, it's like all this, like, sort of other fantasy stuff that you'd love to be able to do. You get to unleash in the game. And again, not have to worry about, minimum mandatory sentences and stuff like that. So I mean, again, I'm in love with the game. I'm in love with, sort of what makes Rockstar, the fact that they have pushed limits like no other gaming company, that they just, and again, they're doing it on a huge scale. So for them to, continue to do, sort of what they do with that sort of, cheeky sense of humor and all the really smart tie-ins with pop culture and that kind of thing, it's one of the things we love them for. And also the technology, the way that they've driven gaming technology and, done so much innovation and brought so much to, sort of just gaming in general. They're really, they're very much, sort of pioneers in that aspect. So nothing but love for them. Again, I will proceed to bitch about
Go ahead.
gun running DLC now that the intro is out. Because yeah, like I say, I'm a Rockstar fanboy, and I know that sort of some people look at that as a negative thing. I wear it like a badge of honor. I love the company. I love what they've done. I know some things that they've done behind the scenes to help people out. That makes me love, not only their hard work and creativity and the work that they actually produce, but also their heart, and the fact that they're good people. And again, as we've talked about, I mean, every employee that I've ever interacted with over there, to a person is smart and passionate and hardworking and, sort of all the things you would, you'd like to have in your own workforce, you see present in Rockstar. So nothing but love for them, with the exception of gun running DLC and my very serious concern for what it means, not just for the game that we're playing right now, which is what it is. It's been out for years, but sort of what it means for the trajectory of gaming in general, online gaming, both for this franchise, GTA. Red Dead Redemption coming up, and Lord knows what else, other games that people are into. This microtransaction model, I think is, there's nothing wrong with it. It's, microtransactions are not new. They're being done all over the place, but I think that the scale on which Rockstar has had success with microtransaction far exceeds any expectations that anyone ever could have had, right? Like, you buy a game for $65 and that seems like a lot, and the assumption is, okay, it's $65 because that's the most people will be able to pay. If we want to sell 14 million copies, you charge $65. If you charged 100, you might only sell 8 million copies, which is going to make less, top line revenue. So at any rate, but the point is, again, the idea was you sell a game and then you can sell little mini games or even DLCs. But, they got to be priced really economically because gamers, historically haven't had a lot of money and that sort of thing. Gaming is, not certainly a necessity in life. But I definitely think that as, particularly folks in the Western world, disposable incomes and the things that we're, willing to sort of spend money on have evolved over the years. Gaming is something that, a lot of people spend a lot of money on. Myself included. I'm 40 years old, as you know. I've been gaming since like ColecoVision, right? with the little knobs and like the original console gaming. So I've kind of seen everything come and go. But this business with the microtransactions is so different. Again, in terms of the scale, in terms of the amount of money that we're talking about with Rockstar, much greater than what anybody could have anticipated. So I get concerned that companies, will get sort of addicted to that and try to replicate that model. And I mean, it's not even that I'm concerned about it. Like, it's going to happen, right? Like, when people read, litigation documents where, former head of the company is talking about $500 million in microtransactions, literally every other, person who's invested in gaming is reading that and saying, you know, whatever I'm invested in, you know, I want them to make $500,000, you know, $500 million too. So, you know, what does Rockstar do? How do they get at it? What assumptions did we have previously about what people could spend on gaming that were so far off base? Because clearly people are willing to spend way more than what, you know, anybody had, you know, previously anticipated. So, at any rate, yeah. So again, I think with that level of success, you're going to have lots of people try to duplicate that, especially within, you know, Rockstar and Take-Two. So why does gun running play into all of this? The issue that I have with gun running, and we've seen it coming for a long time now, is number one, the initial cost, right? The initial amount of money that you have to spend in-game currency to be able to acquire the goods, you know, that they've released in the DLC. So you have this sort of initial, you know, massive paywall, right? And, you know, like, you know, literally 7 paywalls you have to get through in order to be able to get at the new content, which doesn't sound bad if you could game your way out of it and that kind of thing. But the amount of hours that you have to put in to earn that amount of money, I mean, it starts to become a second job if you actually want to gain access to that content. So what do? You can buy Sharkcards to get out of it, right? So to me, you know, again, the in-game economy has a direct correlation to, you know, Sharkcard sales, right? How much money you spend in-game, you know, for some players means they're going to play more. They're going to play more GTA to try to earn more cash. They're going to run missions and, you know, do deliveries and that kind of thing. And for other players, they're going to buy Sharkcards, right? Yeah. So I think that, you know, by setting the prices high within the game and also setting, you know, sort of the amount of time that you have to play if you don't want to buy your way out, I think it achieves 2 goals for Rockstar. Is number one, it drives in-game gameplay, which is important, which is really important, right? Because you need to have a thriving, vibrant online community if you're going to attract the players who actually pay for Sharkcards, which ultimately is, you know, obviously as a business, Rockstar's goal, right? Because not everybody who plays is going to buy a Sharkcard, but some percentage are. But they're not going to come play the game if you don't have like a vibrant, active, you know, gaming community. That, you know, that's why we play online games. Otherwise, people would just play, you know, single games, in which case you don't have microtransactions, or at least certainly not to the scale that you have here, right?
Yeah.
So as far as the gun running DLC, you have, like I say, that initial paywall that you have to get through, which is a tremendous amount of money. You know, if you were going to spend, you know, real, you know, cash for it, you know, in real life money, you know, you're talking about over $100, you know, over $100 US if you want to try to buy in, you know, just via paying for Sharkcards, which is absurd, you know, for a game that, you know, only costs $65 to buy San Andreas, right? And, you know, 100 vehicles and all the weapons and everything. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to pay more than, you know, you're going to pay potentially double that just to get, you know, a tank and some gun skins. I mean, right away, you know, the pricing seems way too high relative to sort of what it would cost in real life to buy it. I mean, I could see, you know, $5-10, something like that. But to say it's going to be, you know, over $100 to be able to get, you know, a new skin on your rifle, that's just, it's absurd, right?
It is. It's crazy.
But the problem is people spending that money, right? There's actually people buying Sharkcards. Like, they're not just, you know, it's not being totally rejected. So, you know, in any kind of economy, you know, the prices, they rise to meet demand, right? You know, whatever goods you're selling, you know, the price, what are you going to charge for it? You're going to charge the most that, you know, people are willing to spend to buy it. And at some point you get a diminishing, you know, return. So, you know, you're going to, you know, your price is going to be lowered if you're not selling enough, you know, volume, right? So, again, you know, the incentive for them to continue to do the microtransactions is right there. You know, it's right out front because people are spending. So, but the challenge in gun running is you have that initial cost that is through the roof, and then you have, you know, the sort of ongoing costs associated with it. And what I mean by that is sort of the economic impact in the game. So you added content that was really expensive, which drives Sharkcard sales. But then you also added equipment that has, what I'll call, a very high economic impact on GTA in general, in that you have all of these like explosive rounds. You have, sniper rifle with explosive rounds. You have, this APC that can launch, 50 rockets. You have, this absolutely foolish, oppressor rocket bike that can, spam rockets. So you have all this new explosive stuff entering the game, and it's like, why would you have all that? What's the appeal of all of that? And I tend to think that it has to do with the fact that, again, every time something blows up in the game, somebody's paying for it.
Yeah.
If you have to try to RPG an oppressor or an APC, you're spending, whatever it is, $500 for every one of those RPG shots, $500 for every one of those sticky bombs. And then when you finally do blow the friggin' thing up, it's $20,000 in insurance to replace it, right? And then meanwhile, you got, these guys in the oppressors and in the, the friggin' APC flying, riding around, just blowing everything up, blowing up cars. And again, every time you blow up a vehicle, somebody has to pay for it in game currency. So now you have game currency being consumed, not only, again, from the initial purchase, but then from all the mayhem that's created, all the griefing that goes on is actually a good thing, because it costs, it causes people to consume in-game currency. And again, for people who play GTA, some percentage of them are going to grind their way out to replace those cars, to replace that ammunition, and which creates a thriving online gaming community. And then some percentage of people are going to pay for Sharkcards to be able to, again, replace the ammunition, replace the vehicles. So in Gun Running DLC, what you have really done is you've created, this massive economic driver, okay, where people are buying Sharkcards to buy the stuff initially, and then they're buying, then they're paying for all the cars and all the stuff that gets blown up as a result of even having this crap in the game. So in terms of Rockstar's objectives, you get more gameplay and you get more money. So from a business perspective, gun running, at least initially, probably meets, puts checks in all the right boxes for Rockstar, right? Mm-hmm. Revenue, yay, gameplay, sweet. That's what they're looking for initially. But for the players, for the people who love GTA and who, literally get on and play every day, people like myself who, buy Sharkcards, or I should say, used to buy Sharkcards, I have absolutely zero interest in riding around in Los Santos just spamming friggin' rockets with 12-year-olds. Like, I have no interest in that when it costs me money to do it, like actual cash, because I don't have 8 hours a day to be gaming, right? I'm a grown-up. No. So my alternative, if I want to play GTA now, is I have to buy Sharkcards just to pay for ammunition to try to defend myself against these little sociopathic 12-year-olds and APCs, right? And so again, as a paying customer, I'm disgusted by it, because I'm not spending any more money on this game to deal with kids in, fucking, pardon my language, in bulletproof helmets, hopped up on bullshock, just spamming rockets everywhere. That's stupid. Like, I don't want to play that game. That game sounds lame to me, right? If I just wanted one-shot RPG battles, I'd go play some other game. I wouldn't play GTA. So, I'm sorry, I just went on a 25-minute rant.
No, dude, I love this stuff. This is stuff that needs to get out there. Like, your opinions are very educated, and they need to be heard. Now, I have a question for you, which taps into a more controversial topic. There's a lot of glitch YouTubes out there. I've found out about a lot of those the last couple of while. Now, these guys are all putting in fake money in the game, right? That's money that should not be there. That is money that people can obtain illegally, and all those people doing that, they're not buying Sharkcards. Do you think that influences the game's state and trajectory as well?
Yeah, 100%. And again, so this is the thing that this is where it's so hard to be a hardcore Rockstar fanboy, right? Because like, you play GTA, you encounter, I want to say, I don't want to say the majority of players, but a lot of salty players out there that hate Rockstar. All they do is, players, they just bitch about the microtransactions. Oh, Rockstar just wants to sell Sharkcards, right? Yeah. And I'm always defending them, and I'm like, nah, they're good people. I mean, look at the games they create. They're passionate. They're smart. Give them a break. They're a business. They have to make money. Yeah, right. And then then they do shit like this. And it's kind of like, so here's the issue though, Sonny, is to your point is I think that Rockstar likes having griefers in the game. I think they view it as a good economic driver, because if you have people, again, every time something blows up in the game, somebody has to pay for it. Money is being consumed either through insurance for vehicle payments or the cost of ammunition to try to defend yourself against these angry little bastards, right? So you have this influx of money, right? You got from modded accounts where you have a player who has $1 trillion. So now that player doesn't have to do anything in a constructive fashion. They don't have to run missions with anybody. They don't have to deliver packages. They don't have to do anything, just from a gameplay perspective that you would say creates to a positive community, right, of players. Instead, they can just be little individuals out there with, again, their bull shack, which costs whatever, I don't know, $1,000, $5,000, whatever bull shack costs, and a helmet, and and these explosive sniper rounds or miniguns or rockets or whatever, just griefing the shit out of people, because to them, they don't have to go grind missions, they don't have to go buy Sharkcards, so there's no reason for them to not just run around the game from one end of the lobby to the other, harassing the hell out of people, blowing everything up, right? Number one. So what does that mean? So again, now for players like me who, actually have a job and, pay for Sharkcards and this kind of thing. Like now for me, if I want to play in free mode and not just have to go from, get pushed out of every lobby that I go into, I got to fight back against these kids. What are you fighting back with? Again, explosives. You're going to, an insurgent, you're going to blow it up. A jet, you're going to shoot it down. So now I'm consuming all this ammunition. And again, I'm having to buy Sharkcards to replace the ammunition just to play the friggin' game, right? So I think that having that modded money in the game, I think, is a very bad thing from a griefing perspective. But I think it's, again, a good thing for Rockstar, because you have to spend money to try to defend yourself against those griefers. So they leave them in the game. I mean, how hard would it be, Sonny? I mean, honestly, we can all go on Social Club right now and look at how much money people have in their bank accounts. Literally, how hard would it be for somebody like Rockstar, with their level of technical sophistication, to be able to go in and say, oh, okay, this guy has $47 billion and only 12 hours of gameplay. I'm going to ban that friggin' account. Like, just ban it. It's stupid, right? Like, it's indefensible that they don't do that. It is indefensible that they don't do that. They should ban every single one of them. Not a timeout, not bad sport. Boom, gone, get out of here, don't play anymore. But they don't. They leave them in there. So they have the means to get rid of them, right? They have presumably a motive to improve the gameplay experience for their paying customers, but they don't follow through on it. So it begs the question, why? It's a conscious decision, right? They don't do it by.
Dude, I've never thought about that, right? Even we can see how much money people have and what kind of stuff people have. So yeah. Rockstar should see as well. Why aren't they doing anything?
Bro, you put me in charge of Rockstar, I'd clear that shit up in a day. I mean, you sort the data. Like, you literally just take all players, sort from highest to lowest, and put in a parameter that says anybody who has, X ratio of dollars to gameplay hours is instantly banned. Like, goodbye. It would take a half of an afternoon. So in other words, the fact that, and it's not that they're not aware of it, it's that they want them in the game, right? It's a rational decision. It's the only conclusion I can come to. You know what I'm saying?
So weird.
And again, it's because those little bastards drive sales. They drive people spending money because of all this shit getting blown up, them getting fed up and fighting back and blah, blah, blah. And so now all of a sudden, again, they leave them in the game to harass people like me. So I spend more money on Sharkcards, and I'm done with it. I'm friggin' done with it. I mean, with gun running, I'm done. I'll never buy another Sharkcard. Not one more Sharkcard. I am done.
It sounds like such a double-edged sword as well, because in one way, if we all start boycotting like Rockstar and say like, okay, this is it, this is the line, we're not buying Sharkcards anymore for this sort of DLC, then they're gonna have to find even more lucrative ways to make money and come up with more crazy stuff. And on the other hand is, if we just keep going as we are doing right now, and some people buy Sharkcards, other people don't, then they will still see like an increase in sales, etc., and they still feel like they're on the right track. So
they'll feel the pain.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, it's the natural, it's the whole invisible hand. I mean, eventually, yeah, people will stop paying. I've stopped paying. And again, I'm somebody who has buys shot cards on a monthly basis, and I'm done. I won't buy anymore. Because again, I have absolutely zero interest in just wasting money spamming rockets around. I bought Grand Theft Auto. I play free aim in Grand Theft Auto. If I wanted to play Battlefield, I would buy Battlefield and I would play it. And right, because Battlefield is a game that has been developed from the ground up to handle nonstop, large-scale combat with big, heavy vehicles. Right, Grand Theft Auto was not designed to be able to handle that. And I can tell you right now, you hear people talking about lately how laggy the lobbies are. Like these free aim sessions that I get into now, where you have APCs blowing everything up, and you have jets blowing everything up, and you have cops everywhere. You have NPCs zipping around, and you have 30 people in the lobby. Those lobbies now, those games are unplayable. Like you cannot, like in free aim, you cannot aim a rifle and expect to, be able to play and have fun in any kind of a, 2017 type of gameplay environment when all that stuff is going on in the game, because it drops so many frame rate. The frame rate goes down so badly. You lose so many frames, right? I mean, it just, and literally the screen just constantly shaking. You can't see anything because of the blur effects that they have in. You can't aim at anything, and it becomes literally not playable. Like it's not like this car's falling out of the sky. So in gun running, not only did they just ruin the gameplay experience by adding a bunch of griefing tools for angry 12-year-olds, but literally the game can't even friggin' support it. So it's not only right, like it's not just that it's bad from a creativity standpoint in terms of what it adds to the environment for gameplay, but literally technically the game isn't even able to support it. So from an engineering standpoint, it's a stupid DLC. So again, we go back to a Rockstar employees dumb? Absolutely not, right? They're the best and brightest. They are, the top of their game, right? Rockstar is the Red Sox of gaming, right? They're the New England Patriots of gaming, right? This is not some bum league team with bum players, right? These are smart people, the best at what they do. So why do they do this? They do this, again, I'm 100% convinced at this point, just to sell shot cards. I mean, gun running is not creative. It's not thoughtful. It doesn't like add to the storyline of GTA in any way. It's completely disjointed, makes absolutely no sense. Like you can't, if you're playing story mode and you think about, Trevor and Michael and Franklin, like, do you see them rolling through the streets of San Andreas with an army of APCs spamming rockets? Like, of course not. It's completely inconsistent with the game, right? It makes zero sense. So for them to add it, to me, again, you ask yourself, well, why would they add this crap to the game? And the reason they add it is all those explosions drive shot card sales. All that shit blowing up is good for business because somebody has to pay for the ammunition, somebody has to pay for the insurance. So to them, that's the metric that they're looking at. They're not looking at it like, does this make our game more fun to play? Does it make it smarter, more intelligent, more challenging? No, it's just literally a bunch of explosions, and it's completely unrealistic. So again, for me, gun running, I think, is a travesty because it has made the game absurd. Like free mode is ridiculous now to even play. So yeah, I don't like gun running.
Oh. Nice, dude. I wish we could go back to the days of freaking GTA 4 where we had an amazing story DLC. Like, I wish we got that for GTA 5.
Yeah, and here's the thing too: is I have a lot of people say to me, oh, Rockstar, they're greedy, they're blah blah blah. They're a business. Like their job is to make money. I do not at all fault them for making money, but the point is there's lots of ways that you can make money, right? There's lots of things that could be added to this game that would achieve the gameplay objectives and the shot card sales objectives without just trashing the game. Like gun running to me is, again, it's somebody went to the dev team and said, I want to drive this amount of, in-game currency consumption every week. How do we do it? Let's blow a bunch of shit up. You know what I mean? Like it's the easiest. It's literally just the most, just not thoughtful. I mean, let's put in, cops and criminals. Let's put in, turf wars. Let's put in, just you think about all the different types of DLCs from a creative standpoint, right? If we had the ability to like spray tag different things in the environment, if you had the ability to somehow, create missions with, for like GTA photographers to get out there and, achieve some kind of a creative objective, that kind of stuff would be thoughtful. That kind of stuff would be fun to the game. And again, true to the fans who bought Grand Theft Auto and want to play in a semi-realistic form, right? And unfortunately, the fact is the game is not realistic in any way now. I mean, I worry that, okay, so we have flying bikes, we have flying kit cars. Are we going to have fucking rockets, spaceships with laser beams coming out of them in the next DLC? Like, to me, that's stupid. That's not why I bought Grand Theft Auto, right? Anyway, so it feels lazy to me. Gun running feels lazy.
Dirty Worka, do you dislike gun running?
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10.
No, dude, but I can't agree more with you. You know what this game really needs DLC wise, which would be like a major like reach out to the community. It will be a freaking adversary mode creator. Like where all these adversary modes that we have right now, toss them in there. Let people create their own jobs with those. So that people can come up with.
Exactly.
There's the doors are wide open then. Like anyone can create anything. If people want to create cops and crooks, they can just tweak a certain adversary mode and bam, there it is. You got it all straightened out.
Brilliant. But that's what I'm saying. That is thoughtful. That is the kind of stuff that you really got to think about. Okay, guys, now how are we going to drive gameplay? How are we going to get people on the game? We're going to have to get really creative, right? How are we going to drive Sharkcard sales? Well, we do have to have consumption of currency, but let's get that consumption of currency through solving some kind of mission, doing some kind of intellectual challenge that is smart and fun, and I mean putting elastic bands on your friggin' controller and letting your character walk around in circles in your bunker waiting for research to happen. That's not fun. That's not thoughtful. That's not, again, it's not what we've come to expect out of Rockstar. It's not, we expect the best from them because it's what they do, right? Yeah. So again, now the question is, so why? Why gun running? Is it because, they don't give a shit? No, it's not. It's because they have different business objectives today than they had years ago. Right? Years ago, the way that they made money is they would release a game and you would have a tremendous influx of cash initially. And then eventually over time, that would sort of slow down to a normal rate of business where, every week, every month, so many game copies would be sold, right? Much lower than the initial spike, but over some period of time, you have some, sort of income coming in on a monthly basis, right? And it's good, but it's not a ton of money. Like you get the initial spike from that initial game sale. DLCs and microtransactions have completely changed that because now you have the initial spike from the initial game release, but then you have all of these sales on an ongoing basis based on currency being consumed in the game and people wanting to buy new content in the game. And then you have, again, DLCs themselves, which are going to drive activity, almost like little, micro game releases. People are going to hop back on and play the game some more, right? Mm-hmm. So again, you say to yourself, well, all the old games like the Ballad of Gay Tony and Chinatown Wars and all of this stuff was so creative. Like, why is the stuff that they're making today, not creative, not thoughtful, doesn't have really well developed characters, isn't accompanied with new soundtracks, isn't creating new gameplay modes in the open world environment that are going to be fun for multiplayer. Like, why aren't those things happening anymore? And I think it has to do with the fact that again, shareholders, in terms of how they evaluate the health of a business, their expectation is that a business is going to maintain at least a minimum run rate of business. So every month the same amount of revenue coming in and every month the same amount of profitability. That's sort of the minimum, right? You got to do at least that. So when the shareholders and the board of directors and Take-Two are looking at Rockstar's performance, they're saying on a monthly basis you got to at least do what you did last month, right, so to speak, or on a quarterly basis, whatever their significant sort of timeline is.
Yeah.
because that's how the stock price is evaluated, right? You know, people who are thinking about which stocks they want to buy, they're going to look at, you know, the financials of a business and say, this company is either winning or it's losing. And the way that you make that decision, the way that you make that sort of evaluation is you look at revenue and profits and you say, is the business growing or is the business, you know, declining based on the top line? And then you say, is the business being managed effectively or not? And you figure that out by looking at the bottom line, right? And, you know, the reason that that's significant is the share price of, you know, Take-Two Interactive stock has a major influence on your ability to raise capital, to continue to develop, you know, amazing, innovative products, and your ability to retain, you know, the best and brightest staff, because for a lot of them, their compensation package is going to be tied to stocks. And, you know, if that stock price is going up or, you know, again, has great value, well, then that's a good thing in terms of, you know, your ability to pay people, you know, or have the ability to have basically the market pay people, because, you know, you're not having to pay them $250,000 a year in cash. You're able to say, I'm going to give you, you know, $150,000 a year, and I'm going to give you these stocks, which today are worth X number of dollars. But if you kick ass and keep making great products and help me manage the business effectively, that, you know, that $50,000 I gave you today will be worth, you know, $150,000, you know, 10 years from now when you, or whatever. So, so maintaining that stock price is absolutely vital. And when you look at how big a percentage of the overall portfolio Rockstar is for Take-Two now, it becomes more vital than ever that Rockstar maintain that steady flow of business. So the concern that I have, again, is that Rockstar's decision-making process in the past was based on amazing stories, amazing characters, you know, really thoughtful, cheeky stuff, because it was like, you know, we need people to buy a lot of copies of these games, so they have to be really well thought out. And now, you know, it's more like we just got to sell a whole bunch of in-game currency. We got to consume a whole bunch of in-game currency to keep driving those microtransactions. So now it's less about, you know, sort of really thoughtful, high-quality content and more about managing the economy in the game. And the things that you do to manage an economy are very different than the things you would do to manage an art form, right? You know, and gameplay is an art form. You know, whether or not you create fun, creative things to do, you know, is very artistic in nature, and it's not very business driven in nature, because you're going to make different decisions, you know, based on, you know, if you're being driven by creativity and fun gameplay as opposed to being driven by how many Sharkcards can I sell, right? You're going to make different development decisions. So my concern is, you know, that gun running is probably very successful from the perspective of being able to generate revenue, because it has such a high cost to initially get into, and then over time, because of all the explosions, you have a very, you know, a nice economic impact, again, from a, you know, in terms of a consumption of in-game cash perspective. You know, it's very successful in that regard. So now, you know, again, if you're working to satisfy the shareholders opposed to the players, now you go back to the developers and you say, hey, you know what you guys did with gun running really, you know, drove a ton of cash and gameplay hours, so we want you to do more of that. You know, because again, we're making so much money off of that DLC. Do more of that. So the message back to the developers is, you know, more wild, you know, vehicles that spam rockets and, you know, just blow shit up nonstop. That's a good thing. So the next time you go to develop something, you know, again, you're going to develop turf wars. Are you going to develop, you know, tuners and muscle cars? Are you going to develop cops and robbers, or are you going to just, you know, add, you know, a battleship, you know, and a fucking stealth bomber, and you know what I mean, and boost jump? Like, so that's my concern, is the development loop, you know, cycle gets a negative reinforcement based on, again, cash decisions, as opposed to, you know, what is actually going to be fun from a gameplay perspective. So that's my again, my feeling of why gun running is what it is, as opposed to, you know, something more creative and, you know, from a gameplay perspective that would be more fun.
Dude, like I said, I love hearing all of this. I love taking this all in. You know what? This actually makes me want to make a video on Sharkcards, on sales and whatnot. And dude, you gotta help me out with that one. Like, I want to get this. I want to portray like a picture of how Sharkcards sales and all this information you just gave us, how that influences. Has influenced GTA 5 and will influence Red Dead Redemption 2. So please help me out with this one. You're a source of speculative information.
Speculate, right? This is first class speculation here. I have no inside insights. This is just me speculating entirely.
I call dibs on you though. You're coming with me.
You got it, man.
Dude, so Red Dead Redemption 2, right? With gun running DLC now, because like after our first gen, right? I was looking at the graphs on how Rockstar and Take-Two were doing on the market and whatnot, and they are reaching an all-time high. Well, they're reaching new highs with every passing month, it seems.
Yep.
So, gun running DLC will probably set the standard for future DLCs as well, by the looks of things, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but by the looks of it, it's going to set the standard. What will happen with Red Dead Redemption 2?
Man, again, they have to look at this successful business model. And again, it is a business model. They have to look at it and say, how do we recreate, a similar demand driver in Red Dead Redemption to get people to wanna spend money on microtransactions, because you got a big gap to fill now. Again, this is the thing that is so different, because they're a publicly traded company now, and the need to maintain that stock price is so critically important to how the business operates and how the people who run the company are evaluated in terms of their performance. It becomes vitally important that you, again, either maintain a steady run rate of business and a steady bottom line, or that you're growing and increasing that over time, which is the preference. But again, do no less than what you did yesterday, right? That's kind of the standard. But if you want that stock price to go up and you want people to be thrilled and impressed, you got to have a way of showing how you're going to grow the business. So you're going from Rockstar in GTA Online. Again, the revenue going up and up and up and up and up and exceeding all expectations. So pretty much, from a shareholder perspective, it's like, guys, just keep doing what you're doing. We don't care. Just keep doing that. All that money's coming in, right? But when GTA Online starts to fall off, you're going to have cannibalization of your customer base, right? Because you only have so many hours to play games per day. So right away, Red Dead Redemption is going to cut into GTA Online just in terms of players, right? Players are going to leave GTA Online to go play Red Dead for some period of time. So now you're going to have that big spike in sales. So as long as you can get from here to there to the release of that game, maintaining that run rate of business, that gets you to the promised land where now you have another huge spike. Shareholders love it. You're going to make a ton of money. They're going to sell millions and millions and millions of copies. It's going to be amazing, right? But then again, now how do you maintain that run rate of business? GTA Online presumably is going to continue in some form or fashion all the way through to the release of GTA 6, if that even ever happens. But presumably it's going to maintain some run rate of business, and then you put Red Dead Redemption, and their run rate of business on top of that. So again, let's say for example, just fake numbers here. If GTA Online right now is making $50 million a month in Sharkcards sales, when Red Dead Redemption comes online, that $50 million a month in Sharkcard sales could drop to $10 million, right? Yeah. So you got to find a way of, bridging that gap and saying, okay, I want, now Red Dead has to pick up the slack here. And again, do no less, make at least $40 million a month. And now between the two of them, even though Red Dead, you can't go as wild with the microtransactions potentially just because of, the creativity constraints of the environment you're operating within, potentially, you can at least stack those two things together. So I don't think that they need to make as much money off of Red Dead alone as they make off of GTA Online, because you're going to have now two revenue streams feeding into the business in a way that you don't have today. So I think that I don't think there's as much pressure to completely whore yourself out the way they did with gun running. But nonetheless, they do have to find a way of sort of recreating that stream of income every month. And some part of that will be GTA Online, and some part of it will be Red Dead Redemption.
Dude, I've learned, even though this is literally the third time we've had this talk, I'm still learning new things. We're gonna turn this into a daily podcast.
Oh, I love it. Yo, you know what I wish they would do? A subscription service. I wish they would just stop fucking around. Give me sorry, pardon my language, but I wish, like, instead of this constant drip feed of content, where you're digging into your wallet of, you know, at varying amounts for every DLC. It would be really nice if I could just say, okay, I'm going to pay, you know, charge, you know, $10 a month for like the, you know, the platinum package, and you get everything, right? And you pay that every single month, whether it's a DLC or not, right? You pay that. That to me would be great, because you could at least control your costs to some degree. And from a forecasting perspective, there would be much less pressure on the development team to make these big, you know, these big financial hits, you know, on a monthly basis, because there'd be some, again, you know, some normal flow of cash. So I think a subscription service would be fantastic instead of these microtransactions and this drip feed of content. And I just, you know, that would be my personal preference for Red Dead Redemption. And I wouldn't be surprised if they pursued that model, for the simple fact that, I mean, how many friggin' wagons can you add to Red Dead Redemption? It's not like GTA Online, you know what I mean? In terms of all the stuff you can add to it based on the time period that you're working within.
Dude, I don't know though. Like, I think the internet will explode if they do that. Like, subscription-based things is basically the majority of the time it's frowned upon by like the entire gaming community, no matter what game it is. So yeah, I don't know. They will not do that. Like, they will not do that. I'm pretty sure.
Somebody probably said that about Netflix, bro. Somebody probably, right? And nobody blinks an eye at, you know, at paying for subscriptions now. You know, and again, in the old days when I was a kid, if you wanted to, oh man, dude, I'm gonna go back on you. I would go to my local. Like when I was a little kid, like I would go to my local video, you know, VCR, what do you call it? You know, VCR rental store, where you walk in and you'd say, I'm going to rent a game, and I'm going to rent, you know, a game for, you know, for $2 or whatever it is a day. And you would rent that game and you'd play it until you beat it, and then you'd bring it back, and you'd pick out another game and you'd play it until you beat it, and you'd bring it back. You never played again. You didn't own a whole bunch of games at a certain point, because you could just walk to the local, you know, Blockbuster and, you know, grab one off the shelf and play it until you were done with it.
Good old times.
Yeah. But like, so, but again, you know, I think that, you know, companies like Netflix said, we're going to make this so convenient for you that you don't have to continue to make these buying decisions. This transaction will just happen in the background, and yet you get access to this whole universe of content. I think as a model, again, that initially people were like, that's crazy, man. Like, you know, I'm not going to pay every single month a bill just to be able to watch movies. When in reality, you do the economics on it. And you say, well, shit, I'm already paying, you know, $15 a month just in movies that I rent every month. You know, I'm renting 3 or 4 movies on a weekend. Hell with it, I might as well do it. So again, I know the initial reaction is I don't want to have, you know, to pay another subscription. But for me personally, again, as a paying customer, somebody who's buying Sharkcards now, I would consider that to be a much greater convenience. And I'd feel a lot less pressure to, you know, again, I don't want to be putting elastic bands on my controller and walking around in circles, or spending $100 to buy a friggin' gun skin. Like, that's foolish. That's just foolish.
Yeah. Dude, we've been going for 50 minutes straight.
I have one more thing before we wrap up then.
Give it to me.
Free aim assisted.
It is the most fantastic feature ever implemented in the game.
This is, you know, again, as a shameless Rockstar fanboy, this is one of those things that I find indefensible, and this is where the shame of being a fanboy comes in, because, you know, I'll be like, oh, Rockstar's the best, Rockstar's so cool, blah blah blah, and then people are like, yo, free aim assisted is the most stupid thing that's ever been coded into a video game in the history of video gaming. How can you defend that decision? And again, I come back to the fact that it's a griefing tool, and Rockstar likes griefers. They embrace griefers, and the only reason you can say that as an absolute fact is they have the ability to largely eliminate this stuff, but instead of that, they promote it. They give them APCs, they give them bullshock, they give them hydras, they give them off radar, they give them helmets, right? They love griefers because it causes people to have to spend money in game, and it disgusts me, and it disgusts, you know, my fellow legit, you know, game players. But the fact is, you know, from a business perspective, it drives cash.
Yeah.
So, but again, this is a decision that it makes me say, you know, again, it's hard to love a company when they screw you like that. Like, free aim assisted is so stupid. Who the heck you were if you were designing a game, right, and you said, okay, we're going to have free aim lobbies where people have to manually aim at things, and then we're going to have assisted aim lobbies where you can just press a button and lock on to kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
And then you said, you know, and we're making a game where you can kill hookers, and we're making a game where Trevor stomps people's brains out, and we're making a game like, what kind of people is this going to attract, right? Like, and then you say we're going to allow some percentage of those kids who play with assisted aim to go into the free aim sessions and shoot all the dummies who have to manually aim. Like, it is a griefing tool. If it were a hack, if it were a glitch, you know, if all of GTA were free aim, and you could do a glitch where you were the only person in the lobby who could lock on and just murder everybody, like, the devs would be working around the clock to try to patch that glitch because it would be so catastrophic to the gameplay experience, right? Yeah. Like the player base would be like, yo, this it's like God mode. There's some kid just killing everybody in the session on Bullshack with a helmet on and, you know, combat MG, and he's locking on everybody. Like, you know, we have to stop this immediately. Like, it would be a, you know, 5-alarm fire burning. And instead, they put that in the friggin' game. Like, you can do that. Like, you can actually do that. What? So to me, yeah, I hope to God nobody from Rockstar hears this because they're gonna go ban my account. But like,
I think I saw them in the chat earlier though.
If they only hear like the last 15 minutes, take free aim assisted out of the game. It's the stupidest goddamn feature anybody's ever put in a game in the history of gaming. It's dumb. It's dumb. Take it out. All right, that's the last thoughtful comment I'd like to make on the game.
Thank you. One last question.
Yes, sir.
Do you like cheese?
I am a fan of all forms of cheese, indeed.
Perfect. The chat made me do it. They were like, "Yo, ask Dirty a random question."
Yeah, give me like a nice brie on, you know, with on some rye bread with some fig jam and a little prosciutto. I'm in heaven. Hell yeah. Like me some cheese.
All right, dude. Yo, thank you so much for coming on. It's amazing, dude. And like I said, I'm making that video on Sharkcards. I'm committed now. I'm gonna do this. So I want your help.
Well, let me say this, Sonny. You and I'm gonna, you know, you prepare to blush a little bit here because I'm about to lay it on you, boy. I love what you do, dude. I love what you do. Your channel is friggin' great. It's so much smarter and thoughtful, and requires the content that you make requires actual talent. Like, you have musical ability. Like, you can actually play a piano. You can actually sing. You obviously can lay down fire rhymes like we heard this morning. Like, you do. Like, your content, Sonny, is so much better than the trash that is on YouTube. Anything that I can do to help support you, I will do, because I have absolutely no question you are going to be tremendously successful in what you do because of your incredible talents. And I just want to be able to say someday, yeah, Sonny Evans, that's my boy. I know him. I know the Branberry Muffin. Hell yeah. I was there.
Thank you, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Story. It's true.
All right, dude. Thank you for coming on. Chat, thank you for listening in as well. All 60 of you lovely bastards. You guys are freaking awesome. Every one of you, Dirty, again, thank you so much, dude.
My pleasure. Take care, Sonny.
All right, peace out.